Benjamin Hall is our senior Fox News correspondent. Benjamin, this new Ayatollah, the son, what's he up to?
Well, Jesse, I've got to say that he's almost exactly the same as his father, if not perhaps a little bit worse. This is a man who is known for his brutality. He shut down earlier protests inside Iran back in 2009. He's known for his corruption. He's closely tied to the IRGC. And so certainly the idea that he is going to work hand in hand with the president or with the US is not going to happen. On top of that, his father, his wife, his son were all killed in that attack at the beginning of the conflict. So he is certainly not the man who we want to be dealing with. And the question is, who can we find within Iran who perhaps could work alongside the US?
So let's say the Israelis take out Ayatollah Jr. Is this council going to select another crazy hardliner in the footsteps of the father and son? I mean, how long can they play this game?
Well, it's amazing. You would have to assume that they love being martyrs because, yes, yeah. Israel at least is going to keep moving down the chain as far as they need to go until someone within the regime realizes that they better start playing ball. And that's always been the point. President Trump has said, look, they killed the leaders. They even killed the second and the third tier. How far do you have to go until you find someone who will work alongside the US? And certainly I think they will keep trying. And these people all have targets on their backs.
So what's the Iranian strategy?
You know, I think that Iran had two strategies at the beginning. It felt President Trump was afraid of two things. The first was sky-high oil prices, and they shut the Strait of Hormuz, at least they have tried to, and we saw the prices jump up to $120 a barrel. But look how quickly they came down as soon as President Trump said that this was almost over, that the war was coming to an end. It shot down again. So that is not a tool they can keep using. The other was attacking all of the Gulf allies in the region. They felt that that would turn the Gulf allies of Saudi Arabia and Bahrain against America. It didn't. It did the reverse. It brought them alongside the US and Israel. And so what we're seeing are the two main weapons that Israel had backfiring on them, and they will be looking what they can do now their military is gone. How can they next take the battle to the US? But they're running out of weapons is the truth.
Yeah, they are. And the Putin-Trump phone call today, what do you think about that timing?
It's really interesting. Look, we expect President Putin to reach out and to try and speak to President Trump. You know, they talked for an hour today, and President Putin apparently had some suggestions into how they could bring this war to a close and de-escalate. But you have to remember that it was Russia who has been giving Iran targeting information so the Iranians can target American forces, while President Zelensky of Ukraine has been sending his experts to the region to give drone tracking technology. So, look, you look at the Ukraine war at the moment, and you have to start thinking that perhaps Russia continues to be on the aggressive side, whereas Ukraine is coming alongside to try and help the US. But, look, President Trump happy to keep talking to both sides, and he is hoping maybe after Iran that perhaps they can find a peace deal there as well.
So you've covered a few wars, you've studied it. What kind of timing are you looking at here in this Iran war?
You know what's interesting is President Trump saying so soon and that this is going to be over quite quickly. And I think that sent two messages, one to bring the oil prices down and one to send a message that this is not going to be a forever war. The military objectives have been achieved. The missiles are being demolished. Their factories are being demolished. The big question is what comes next? What pressure can you put on the regime to change it? And I think President Trump has been clear from the beginning that once the military is taken out and once the regime has been cracked, then it's the people of Iran who have to rise up. So you can offer that to them, but can you then allow the people of Iran to rise up? And I think this will end in the next week or two, and I think it'll be passed on. The one thing that I'm looking for at the moment is this little island in the Strait of Hormuz called Karg. 90% of Iran's oil goes through this little island. Back in 1988, President Trump was asked about Iran, and he said, I would seize Karg Island. It controls all their oil. The US and Israel have not hit this island yet. It's the size of half of Manhattan, tiny little island. Now, if President Trump were to take that, and it would require some special forces troops, but it's not heavily armed, it would, first of all, their military are gone, then he would control all the oil. That is a position that he can really negotiate from. So that's the one thing that I'm looking at the moment. It's certainly not for certain, but I think that really brings us to a conclusion, and it puts all the pressure both on Iran, but also on China, who gets 80% of Iran's oil as well. So I think we'll see this slow down in the next week or two, but President Trump putting himself in a position where he has all the say and the power over whichever regime, whichever leader, whether it's Junior Ayatollah or someone else, President Trump will have the power if he makes those moves.
Yeah, the embargo definitely worked off the coast of Venezuela. That squeezed him pretty hard. Hopefully this works as well on Karg Island if that's the move. Ben, good to see you. Thank you so much. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.